The Origin of the Ghostricks, Part 2. All of the cards from the Ghostrick archetype are based off of a different monster from folklore and Halloween. Ghostrick Allucard is based off of a vampire. Vampires, as many of you know, are creatures of the night who drink blood to live, and depending on the story, have different magical powers. Allucard is just Dracula spelled backwards. Dracula was the very first vampire to enter popular culture, and all other vampires are based off of Dracula's story and character. The author of Dracula named him after the historical figure Vlad III Dracula, Voivode of Wallachia, who, despite being similarly bloodthirsty, was more prone to impaling his enemies than biting their necks and drinking their blood. Though the author did not actually know a lot about the historical Dracula beyond the name and degree of the reputation, probably less than modern fans do. Stoker invented some of the classic vampire traits, such as not having reflection, and popularized others, but Dracula does not follow the standard rules, largely because he predates most of them. Sunlight does not harm him or do any damage to him, though it does prevent him from shapeshifting, according to Van Helsing. The sun that rose in our sorrow this morning guards us in its course. Until it sets tonight, the monster must retain whatever form he has. He is confined within the limitations of his earthly envelope. He cannot melt into thin air nor disappear through the cracks or chinks and crannies. If he does, through a doorway, he must open the door like a mortal. And he is killed by having his head chopped off with a knife, and a knife driven through the heart rather than a stake. Not that a stake wouldn't have worked, as at least one of his victims turned vampire does receive this treatment, though beheading is still required. He also starts as an old man and de-ages as he drinks blood. A tidbit kept in only a few of the adaptations. None of them kept his abilities to sip through knife-edge cracks in masonry, unless you count the turn into mist, which may pop up occasionally, such as the power of Allucard, the son of Dracula, or turn into elemental dust in Moonlight. Ghostrick Dullahan is based off the Irish Dullahan, who is a variation of the Headless Horseman. The Dullahan is usually on a black horse and carries his own head under one arm. The head's eyes are small, black, and constantly dart about like flies, while the mouth is constantly in a hideous grin that touches both sides of the head. The flesh of the head is said to have the color of the consistency of moldy cheese. The Dullahan uses the spine of a human corpse for a whip, and their wagon is made of funeral objects or dried human skin. When the Dullahan stops riding, that is where a person is due to die. The Dullahan calls out their name, at which point they immediately perish. There is no way to bar the road against a Dullahan. All locks and gates open to them when they approach. They do not appreciate being watched while on their errands, throwing a basin of blood on those who dare to do so, often a mark that they're among the next to die, or even lashing out the watcher's eyes with their whips. They are frightened of gold, and even a single gold pin can drive a Dullahan away. The Dullahan was popularized by the anime/light novel series Durarara, in which a Dullahan named Celti is a main character who rides around on a horse that can shapeshift into a motorcycle and is on a search for her lost head. Ghostrick Frost is based off of Jack Frost. Jack Frost is said to be a friendly spirit, but can be very dangerous because if one were to insult him, he would cover that person with snow or turn them into frost. Jack is a spirit and the personification of crisp, cold winter weather, a variant of Old Man Winter. He is also at times shown as a mischief-making spirit, carefree and happiest when he can behave as he pleases, with no obligations. He is able to flourish. He is traditionally thought to leave the frosty, fern-like patterns on windows on cold winter mornings, window frost or even fern frost, and nipping the extremities in cold weather. He is sometimes described or depicted with a paintbrush and a bucket coloring the autumnal foliage red, yellow, brown, and orange. In some versions, Jack Frost is friendly, but kills his victims by covering them with snow if provoked. On the other hand, other versions depict him as a kindred spirit who only wishes to enjoy himself and bring happiness to others. He is often portrayed as an older man, though other versions of him show him as a young adult or a teenager. His roots may originate from the Anglo-Saxon and Norse winter customs. In Russia, however, he has taken a different form as Grandfather Frost. And in Germany, there is instead a different entity altogether. There are various other mythological beings who take on similar role yet have different folklore to them. In recent years, Jack Frost has made appearances as a character in a pop culture. He has very brief mention in a Christmas song and several roles as characters in televisions and movies. Over the years, he has taken the role of both villains, heroes, and neutral entities.